Hello and welcome to the Solid Signal Podcast. This week it's November 18th, 2013, and the subject of this week's podcast is apartments. If you live in an apartment building, you may have noticed a lot of DirecTV or Dish satellite dishes around. Oftentimes you find them in every single patio. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're told by the apartment complex that you cannot have them. Let's talk about that first. There's a rule put out by the FCC that says that your apartment complex cannot stop you from putting a dish or antenna smaller than 1 meter in size, that's 39 inches, on a private area that you control, such as your patio. They can stop you from putting it on the roof. They can stop you from attaching it to a wall, and they can stop you from putting it in a public area, but they cannot, by law, stop you from putting it on your patio. If you have any questions about this, go to blog.solidsignal.com and search for OTARD, and there's a couple of articles that talk all about it. Of course, a building owner doesn't like to see all those satellite dishes on everybody's patio, and I don't blame them. Some people think they're ugly. I personally don't. But the more important thing is that a building owner does have some rights too. And that's why there are other options. See, the apartment owner can choose to supply DirecTV to every apartment in a single building with just one dish. Most of them don't know this. They know that the cable company is willing to come in and wire for free, but they don't know that oftentimes a DirecTV installer will come in and wire for free too. DirecTV has this program called D2 Advantage, and what it does is it lets you put one dish up on the roof of a single building, and then through some of the magic of fancy stuff that gets put in the closet and nobody ever sees it, it can distribute DirecTV service to every room in that building, which is kind of neat. And if it's done right, the customer doesn't see anything different. This isn't like the old days, like when you had to have special DirecTV equipment for an apartment or something like that. It just uses exactly the same equipment as everybody else, which means you qualify to get that Genie DVR that you want. The system is so good that if you already have DirecTV in your apartment and this new D2 Advantage system gets installed, you just have to unplug your equipment the day that they install it and plug it back into the new wiring. It's really kind of neat. The D2 Advantage system uses the same dish and adds special splitters, amplifiers, and switches to deliver DirecTV service to any size building. In fact, with DirecTV service, it's very rare that you can't get one dish to serve every single room in a building. I've seen it where an entire high-rise apartment complex, 500 apartments, is served by one dish. It just takes careful planning, and it takes an installer who knows what they're doing. The best part about a system like this is most apartment dwellers are stuck with what the cable company is willing to give them, especially if their patios don't point in a way that they can put a dish up there. With something like this, DirecTV service can go to every single apartment in a complex easily and quickly, and you don't have to deal with what the cable company is willing to set over. Most installers will also take care of a specific building themselves, instead of sending somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about over to work on it. I'd love to think there were a ton of apartment complex managers who are listening to this podcast. I know that it doesn't exactly have the most wide listenership of any podcast in the world, so I could be hopeful. If you are an apartment manager, give us a call. 866-726-4182 is the number at Signal Connect, and they can help you out with these D2 Advantage systems. They're going to make things a lot easier for you. It's much more likely that if you're listening to this podcast that you live in an apartment and you're not the manager, because hey, there's a lot more people like that, and as I said, not everybody listens to this podcast. Take that number again, 866-726-4182. That's the number to a DirecTV dealer that can help install these D2 Advantage systems so you don't have to rely on the cable company anymore. And honestly, isn't that what you want? So whatever, enough hard selling. Come on guys, I do have to pay the bills over here at the Solid Signal Podcast. Occasionally it means I have to try to sell something. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to another week. Next week is Thanksgiving week, so we'll be all excited about that. And I'm also interested in hearing your suggestions for future podcasts. If you have an idea for a future podcast, go to blog.solidsignal.com, click Suggest a Topic, and until then, have a great week.